Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Chicagoland Baseball Chronicles. And you know the business. If you woke up this morning, if you woke up, you are winning. Me and Bill, we got a good show today, don't we, Bill?
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got a really good show. I've been looking forward to this one all week. Kind of up to date. We've been speaking with different ball players and hearing their story, their journey about how they started out, went through the high school ranks, and eventually to professional baseball. And today we get to hear the other side of the story. How are these players found? How are
Right.
players discovered? And
Absolutely.
what are scouts and major league personnel looking for in a potential draft pick? So we get to hear that side of the story today. And we're really excited to have Mr. Jerry Flowers.
Jerry Flowers, my man. How's it going, Jerry?
Pretty good. What's going on, guys?
We can hardly see your face. You got to angle your camera. We see like the bottom of your lips, Willie Bobo. We see, to see that jersey back there. There we go. What's going on, Mr. Flowers? How are you again? You good?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Enjoying
Hey,
this
man.
nice warm weather.
That's right. I hear you. We jealous up here, but we're gonna get straight to it. A lot of people don't know who you are, but they're gonna find out and they're gonna learn today. I know you very well. Played at Harlan High School, left there and went to Southern University down in Baton Rouge. He's a big time Maple Park A, came all up through the Freeman system over there in Maple Park. But how'd you get started, Jerry, in this here game, man? How did it start for you, man?
Well, I was one of the few kids that was, we played neighborhood baseball, Maple Park Little League from 9 to 12. And, back in the day, you didn't have what we have today, which is the age group. You just, 9-year-olds played with 12-year-olds. And, then they started becoming more into the 13-year-old Pony League. And then you got a chance to play, and we stayed all in the same neighborhood. Then we got a chance to, at 15 and 16, we moved out the neighborhood and went to West Pullman and played in the West Pullman Pirates. And then, from there, at 16, 17, I was able to link back up and get a couple of weekend series with the Maple Park A's with the older guys.
Absolutely. You attended, what high school did you go to?
Harlan High School. Rick actually was the coach, and baseball wasn't as really a main focus as it is now. Back then we didn't have a lot of success as a team, but I had some individual accolades, and that was due to the fact that I played a lot of baseball in the summer times and with older guys, and one of the guys that mentored me, who didn't even know it, was Fred Andrews, who just recently passed, taught me how to respect the game of baseball. Growing up, everybody has what we call physical tools, but, I didn't know how to prepare and just didn't know baseball was as intricate as it is. We just went out and played baseball because we could play. But as you get older, you start realizing there's some finer things to the game that's necessary to play the game and continue playing it. You learn those things and you take it on with you.
Absolutely.
So, Jerry, we understand you left Harlan High School and went down to Baton Rouge, Southern University.
I had a quite little detour. I went to college in Kansas on a football scholarship.
Okay.
And then from there, it was so funny. I transferred to Southern University and thought I could play football. And it was, because I was a main recruit as far as University of Nebraska, Oklahoma State, mostly back then it was the Big Eight that recruited me. So I thought, I can go down there and play easy. And I'll never forget, I walked in the rest his soul Marino Chasm office and said, "Hey man, I play football. I want to try for your team." And he started laughing. He said he got walk-ons better than me. And I was like, yeah, right. Well, come to find out, as we can laugh on it later, one of those walk-ons was Aeneas Williams, who's now the Hall of Fame cornerback. Mm-hmm. So it just goes to show you the talent level that's at HBCUs, and that's so undermined because of the fact that people give a stigmatism about the level of play, but the talent is still there.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of interesting you mentioned that. It looked like a lot of the talent is returning too. Coach Prime is doing a lot of things down at Jackson State. Hugh, I can't think of the gentleman's name, just hired as a new coach at Grambling.
Jackson.
Hugh Jackson, yes, who has a NFL
Eddie
background.
George. Eddie George.
Big boots.
Eddie George.
Alabama A&M is doing some big things in football recruiting. So it looks like we're seeing a bit of a renaissance in that HBCU pipeline. That's something we could all keep an eye on in the upcoming future.
But I want to back it up. I want to back it up a little bit. When you were while you were playing at Southern, I had the pleasure of playing with you. You were pretty good, and I actually saw you when you were playing for Rick, and my buddy Mike Robb was y'all coach. Jerry, you were pretty good, man, and y'all that was the beginning of the Harlan knocking on the door. A lot of people don't know that. You had some pretty good guys on that team, brother. Y'all were competitive.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to. I was a 4-year starter in high school and finished up at All City at the at IIT for the Chicago League Public League versus the Catholic League All-Star game, and was fortunate enough to get the right set of eyes to look at me, and I was offered a major league contract, well, minor league, but the money wasn't right, and my mom was dead set on me going to college to play football, and then from there, that's when I started taking baseball serious when I got to college. I didn't take it serious growing up because I was a multi-sport athlete, recruited in all 3 sports, and in Chicago, you just play sports, year round. You just didn't really focus on like they're doing now with the specialty. You just played sports because that's just what you did. Right. And as I got to college and started realizing, wait a minute, you can have a future in this game, and that's when I started taking it serious. But the key to baseball is you got to have the right set of eyes looking at you. That's anybody.
Absolutely. Because I remember you playing, and I remember you playing up with us.
I'm a few years younger than you guys.
I remember playing with us, and I was on the way down. You were on the way up, wondering why you wasn't playing. I was like, dude, there's some cats out there that's pretty good, man. But you shouldn't even be here. I felt that you should have got drafted. I know your background. I know what you did at Southern and whatnot, and the position. But I wasn't going to leave that out. That's the purpose of this show. This is Chicagoland Baseball Legends, and you one of them. You one of them. I know what you accomplished. But now we back to Southern again. I couldn't leave that out. Now we back at Southern. How was your career while you were playing at Southern, and some of the guys that you played with, coming along the way that we might.
Once again, lucky enough to be a 4-year starter at Southern University, starting all 3 outfield positions. Every year rotated to a different position. First team all conference, all American. Led the conference in stolen bases. Speed was part of my game. Like I said, as growing up, I didn't know the things that I'm able to now instill on kids, which is how important batting practice was. Because back then we just took batting practice because it was just standard ops for preparing for the game. Now that's almost one of the criteria that scouts look for when they go to a game is to watch the batting practice. And I'm starting to, try to educate younger scouts that thinking that's the true tale of a hitter. And I keep explaining to them there's multiple roles in when you're evaluating hitters. And back then we just played baseball and we was there for winning championships, and it was for the love of the game. And our biggest competition, of course, was Jackson State, who we sent home a few years every year. Disappointed. But it was just fun and stuff to do.
So Jerry, after playing at Southern University, you also were an assistant coach there at Southern University, correct?
Yes. That was one of the things that our head coach did was because of the budget, he was able to bring back a lot of his former players to be assistant coaches, which allowed us to learn how to run a program because he let it be hands-on. We could do whatever we want. And also just to learn how to give back to our alumni base and help the kids out. And from there, I would say a lot of us went on and got professional jobs in the game. I've got a list of guys that, went on ahead: Marco Patty, Jerry Flowers, Clarence Johns, Chip Lawrence, Arnold Brathwaite. I mean, the list goes on and on. Jerome Cochran from Chicago. So
Mm.
it was a good feeder system for us to develop beyond playing.
So the HBCU experience was a great experience for you as a ball player, and kind of opened doors for you in your professional life.
Yes, it also allowed me to get a chance to evaluate talent even as a player, because like I try to explain to kids and parents nowadays, instead of walking past mirrors, stop and take a look and see what you see. Because like I played against Ben McDonald in college, who ended up being the number one
LSU.
overall
Oh,
pick.
okay, Ben.
Yeah,
The
Russ
LSU, right?
Springer. I mean, that was like every day we was playing them. It was almost like we playing the major league, and that's how we was being evaluated, because we only had the one game audition for the scouts to to give us a look. So if you didn't have a good game, your chances of playing professional was kind of limited.
Wow.
Well, nowadays things
one
are
game.
changing, but
Game.
One game, and then you might be facing
One
Ben
game.
McDonald.
we did face Ben McDonald. I mean, matter of fact, we faced Ben McDonald 3 innings, gave a 1 hit. Wasn't to me, was to another hitter. Russ Springer, who played another 12 years in the big league. John O'Donohue. I mean, the whole staff was all major league pitchers, every last one.
Wow.
So when the scouts came, that was who they gave the comfort level, saying if you can hit them, you can play pro ball. And didn't matter about batting average or stats that people so hell bent on today. It was about the competition of who they can justify taking you against.
Mm-hmm. So I guess what we want to kind of dig into, Jerry, is how did you become a scout, and what makes a good Major League Baseball scout?
Great story.
Well, it goes to show you, like I was just telling you earlier, being a coach in college, the Atlanta Braves had a program which I still think in existence today. It's called the Minority Scouting Program, which allows you to go down there to their spring training site, which back then was in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I was able to evaluate players and write reports with their assistants on what to look for in a player, the things to look for. And I was fortunate enough to see some of the best players in the history of the game when I first started, which is Andrew Jones, Vladimir Guerrero, Milton Bradley. I mean, all these guys was like right there in my face. So when I saw those guys at 16, 17, 18 years old, it made you take a step back, like kids ain't even close to what they think they are talent-wise.
Right. Absolutely.
In baseball, we use what we call a number system, 20 to 80, and 50 is considered average. Well, those guys was on the 7 and 8 sides at that age, which means they was elite. So when I go out and see kids now, it just gives you it just makes you stand still and be like, wow, these kids aren't even close to what they think they are. But I got a chance because my former coach, Marco Patti, was with the Braves. So I got a chance to get in the intern program. And then from there, I got a chance to learn the system of how to scout. And then I was offered a job with the Cincinnati Reds, and that was over 25 years ago.
What organization was this? This was still this was like at a camp or something you were doing, and then, or was this a particular organization?
You go to baseball is broken down in the season. There's spring training, there's regular season, then there's instructional league. The camp was designed for us to see instructional league, which means you bring in your top prospects and work with them in a 2 to 3 week span on working on the finer points of the games to try to speed up their development. So like I said, I was able to have hands-on with Andrew Jones and build a relationship. And it's so funny how now I look at it, now I'm scouting his son, who will probably be a first-round draft pick.
Right. But I remember you telling me something, but how did you really get into like scouting? Was it somebody just like pushed you in the, man, why don't because like I said, earlier, I thought that you were a draft pick. I thought, me personally, I thought that you had a shot
twice as free agents, but I had a college degree, working in the masters, had a wife and kid, and I realized that $850 a month, which was the monthly salary, I was making that a week working at the Exxon chemical plant. So I always was way smarter than common sense. That I can make that money in a week, and with a wife and kid, that kind of made that easy for me. So I went back to school and worked on my master's, and that's when I got into coaching and scouting. But I was offered a chance with the Atlanta Braves by Ralph Garr Sr., who's legendary in Chicago, known as the Road Runner. Played for the White Sox back in the 70s. You know, he's just explaining to me, you know, what it would entail. And I was like, man, that's just not, you know, when you go to college and got other responsibilities and opportunities, that ain't as exciting as people make it out to be. But it's an opportunity. And then I was offered another chance with the Giants, but I passed on that because, like I said, my wife and kid was more important because I got married while in school. So the guy was looking for an outfielder, and then ended up signing Mondo Rios, who ended up playing as an undrafted guy in the big leagues for about 10 years with the Pirates and the Giants from LSU. So it I couldn't play. I just seen the bigger picture. And that wasn't really probably my calling. I think I'm doing the calling that was placed on me, which is to help other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my man. Absolutely.
So, Jerry, a question that some of our viewers may have is that when you come out to a ballpark, or when you send some of your scouts that you supervise out to whether it's a showcase or a game, what is a scout looking for in a player? What is a scout looking for?
Well, to be honest, when we go to showcases, 9 times out of 10, we're just going there to gather information and just see how a kid performs against kids that are equal talent or better talent, because they all now nationwide showcases. So it allows us to. I unfortunately got the opportunity when I go there to rank them all because I have to rank them from every part of the country. So the number one player in Illinois might be 55th on my list, but it's not a knock on the kid. It's just that when you're going out there and evaluating the players, we evaluate where they come from, who they face, their physicalities, their size, strength, and their physical tool, and the upside that they might present to the game of baseball. And they're also, we call them risk factors. Every kid that plays baseball has a risk. Some are more, some are less. And that's really how you're being drafted, based on how much risk factors that we want to invest in you.
What is a risk factor? For the people out there that might not know what this is, what is a risk factor?
Now, if you go and play baseball in Chicago, you don't face 95 miles an hour pitching on a regular basis. Okay. So when we evaluating you, we got to take a step and look at it like a kid in Texas face 95 every day in high school. So we know that his risk factor when he goes to pro ball, he should adapt quicker than a kid from, say, Chicago or Detroit, because they don't get that on the regular, the aptitude of how much competition that they face. Absolutely. They might be more talented physically, but we look at all of the variables like cold weather. He didn't get out as much. He doesn't have a lot of reps on his belt. How much aptitude do he have? What school is he committed to? It's a lot of variables that comes into evaluating the player. It's not a one-stop shop. You got to put the whole puzzle together to get the player right.
I can, Jerry, remember that that they had that particular type of frame of mind back then when we were playing ball, but that particular evaluation wasn't always the case up here back in the 70s and early 80s and the 60s when we were playing. You had some real heaters up here, man. And they did that with us anyway. But now it's a fact right now. But even when you were playing, it was some real heaters up here. And we had that perception, which is, I understand now, but, they did that. That's always been there.
Back in the day, like when we were playing, it was a kid, man, like I said, it just gives you an eye-opener on talent. Dave Gavin. When I saw him, they said he got released, and I said, oh, my God, if he got released, it's going to be tough to play pro ball. I mean, this guy was one of the most gifted guys I've ever seen. I mean, he could do everything. Like now as a scout, if I was a scout, I'd take him in the first round without blinking. But It just goes to show you that it's all about the mindset, because when you get to pro ball, you ain't guaranteed nothing but an opportunity. They don't care what round you go in. And I got a lot of examples where I took kids in later rounds that made it over guys that was taken higher. So it's about an opportunity. It's not no giving because or entitlement because you got a lot of money. Because we do make mistakes on sometimes in giving out more money versus A versus B player. That's just the nature of the game. But you get an opportunity. That's what parents and kids got to understand. Opportunities. Now, what you do with your opportunity is totally up to you.
When you talk about opportunities, Jerry, yesterday was kind of following things. Yesterday was a big day for international signings.
Correct.
So I see 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 17-year-olds getting $2 million deals, $3 million deals. So kids that would be the same age as our high school sophomores and juniors. And so when you talk about getting that opportunity and that path to pro ball, we have kids getting the international deals, huge opportunities at 15 and 16 years old. Is there any way that American baseball players can kind of close that gap, or that's just how it is?
Well, you got to understand, Latin American culture is different. They look at that as this gross national product. That's their way of getting out, and they come out the womb practicing baseball. And you got to remember, they don't have the same structure as a United States America kid might have, where you got to go to class, you got to do this. Over there, you strictly baseball, and you learn from the pro aspect of the game at an early age. And don't forget, they don't have the little league fields. They have big league fields. So a 7-year-old learn how to throw 90 feet at 7 years old. Well, over here, you don't get to that size field to 13 and 14. So you're looking at a disadvantage
15,
of your
15. Yeah. Wow.
And also you got to remember also, there's no DeMarini, Wilson, and all those bat companies over there. It's strictly wood. So they learn in pro baseball at 7 years old. So when they get 12, 13 years old, that's why they're so dominant in the international market, and they can be offered a major league contract because their upside is so much greater and they're polished. We play structured baseball.
Polished. You say they polished.
Wow.
Yeah.
So sometimes here, when you talk about the structure, it seems like sometimes baseball in the United States has almost like a country club kind of atmosphere. It's a really expensive sport here. To the showcase circuit or that type of thing, it takes a lot. Oh, even the bats that you mentioned, $350 bats. So it's an expensive sport. But you're describing a situation in Latin American countries, they're just getting after it.
Well, baseball don't have to be expensive. We are making it expensive because we're trying to make it exclusive. Because everybody knows if you play baseball like overseas, all of the major league players that play overseas, they go back and give back to their community. They bring all of the equipment back that they bought, or they have camps for the kids. Here we don't have that luxury of camps because everybody want to practice baseball year round, and then they want to take off the off season when when there's a time to do camp. So kids in urban America or just in United States of America don't have the luxury of having somebody give back. Like in football, they have everybody comes back home and do football camps free of charge. Here, these guys got bat deals, shoe deals. They can give back, but they just, for whatever reason, just not in touch. So now that they're getting this baseball alliance together, they're starting to realize the untapped market that was been out there for so many years.
And shout out to the Baseball Alliance. Curtis Granderson and Tim Anderson here in Chicago did reach out to the guys out at JRW, reached out to the kids and had a really special day for them down at US Cellular Field this year. So they are kind of making a footprint here in Chicago. And I see them nationally going around with the bus, with equipment, just meeting the kids. So maybe, hopefully with the Players Alliance, that will make a difference here locally.
Hey, Jerry, I have another question. What do you suggest, like I said, if a kid, he potentially someone that a major league team was offering, the draft and this and that, would you suggest that, a lot of times the money don't be right or this and that, but like you just said, a kid that was coming from the Dominican Republic or so, 16, he's gonna get drafted and go through whatever it may be. And by the time this other kid that maybe said, nah, the money's not right, go to college, come back, and they draft him again, he's gonna be like 22, 23 years old, something like that. Doesn't that mean something? Shouldn't it?
It means
it would be best for a kid to sign early, is what I'm saying.
the
That's what
earlier
I'm
the
trying to
better.
say.
It's just like raising a kid. It's easier to teach a baby how to swim than a 12-year-old.
Right. So
because the fear factor and all of the things that comes in. And also, you got to remember this. Every kid that I know, when they're 30 years old, 30, will give their right arm to play pro baseball. 30. That same kid could have that opportunity at 16, 15, 17, and the first thing your parents say, that's not enough money. And I keep using the additive that 90% of the kids that sign the college scholarship pays to go to college. 90%. And everything has got to give or take, so nothing is 100%. So just assume that you're paying to go to college. With us, we offer incentives that pay for your college, so you don't get debt. You don't get in debt. We're giving you a signing bonus. That's what we call a risk factor. Now, there are some signing bonuses that are greater than others. That's why it's called a risk factor. A first rounder is going to get more money because he should have less risk than a fifth rounder. That's just the nature of the beast. But people always complain about it's not enough money, but you're going to pay to go to college without an opportunity of even starting to making a team. And then you want to come back at 22. Hey, man, I want to play pro ball. Well, we got 4 years to evaluate you now. So you can fool us in high school. You can't fool us in college.
Absolutely. See, I really wanted you to talk about that because, you've been in the barbershop. Excuse me. You know how people talk. Got a lot of people come through that got kids there. And like I said, they got different incentives now where you guys will sign the kid. If it doesn't work out for him, he can still go back to school. On y'all note, right?
And
so it's best to sign early.
And another thing, like I told you, if somebody now my case back then, $5,000, that's just totally different because, like I said, I wasn't really into baseball like that. I thought I could be football and run track and all those other sports. And like I said, being a multi-sport athlete, I wasn't educated on the process. Like now, these kids here, I was fortunate to sign a kid to play in the major leagues, signing for $100,000. In today's world, people will look at you like you cheated the kid, but he just went and bought him a Bentley and some other stuff and land because he got an opportunity. He was out of high school as a black African-American catcher. But he was so athletic, he made it to the big leagues as a starting second baseman. His name is shared along with the Seattle Mariners, and he's hurt right now, so I think he might be a free agent. But he took the opportunity. And that's what I tell everybody. Take the opportunity. Absolutely. And another thing is find out what your strengths is. Because as players, we go to games, don't forget, we only get I only get one look at you. So if I go to a game and I find you 5'6" being a catcher, it's kind of tough for me giving you a look to think you're going to play in the big leagues just because traditionally in history says those guys don't make it. That's what we talk about, the risk factor. But because you're athletic, you can run, maybe you can play center field or second base. I was fortunate enough to see Curtis Granderson in my trial camp. He came to my trial camp as a shortstop. When I saw the throwing motion, I knew instantly to move him to the outfield. Curtis Granderson was one of the few guys that played right field in college and played in the big leagues center field because of athleticism.
Do you remember we were playing with the A's and he was playing with UIC?
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
The game of baseball, this is so great about baseball. It's the only sport that doesn't penalize you for being a certain height, a certain weight, certain size. And you can't even use color as an excuse. Because if you got ability, you will get picked. I promise you.
I heard that. Hey, we talked about something way back. I'm getting way off board. You said if you ever get into a situation where you can sign a brother, you'll give a brother a shot. Hey man, I'm in shape. I've been working out. Can I get a shot, man? What's up, man? You said it,
Bo
man.
Rap.
You my boy, man. You said you go give you a
Bo
shot.
Rap. I got a few more
I could
years
be the last pick,
in the
Jerry.
game, man. And I don't want to lose it right now. I know you can play, but just that 50, we got a little age cutoff.
No, we're talking about different guys, Jerry. And I know you've seen in 25 years, and now you're a national cross checker. You all over the country. I know during your 25 years as a scout, you see some amazing prospects. But I want to throw a name out at you. Whenever I think of Southern University baseball, I immediately think about Rickie Weeks. Did you get a chance to evaluate him as a prospect? And do you have any history with him?
I'm the reason why Rickie Weeks got to Southern University. I'm the first one to see him play.
Here we go.
Give it to us.
Well, I was living in Chicago, and what we do in Chicago is called snowbird. They send us down to Florida because, like now in January, February, they're kicking off in baseball in Florida. We're up in Chicago, it's 12 degrees, whatever the weather is. So they want us to, utilize all of our scouts to get coverage. So I'm down there, and they give me a list of names of guys to go watch and evaluate. So when I go to a particular game, it's 50 scouts in there. So I'm mingling like everybody else, talking to the guys that I know. So I'm watching the pregame, and I notice a kid out there in center field. I'm like, oh. So like I said, we go through the process of watching infield. So we grading the arms out. I said, damn, that's a good arm. Okay. Then I go in the process of seeing the batting order. He's batting third. I said, oh, okay. So now my Spider-Man sense is kicking in like, dang, this guy at least got something, so me pay attention. So he bats third, so I get to see him in the first inning. His first at bat, he hit a ball off the pitcher's forehead. I'm like, oh, my goodness. And he ran down the first in 4-1, so I'm looking at all of the physical tools that's necessary to play baseball. Only thing I could never tell you was I never saw him hit for no power. But I saw the bat speed, I saw the quickness in the bat, I saw the strength of the ball coming off the bat, I saw the arm strength, I saw the run grade. I saw him in center field, so I knew he was athletic. And come to find out, the only reason he didn't play the infield was the year before, his former teammate was the 5th overall pick named Felipe Lopez. So, of course, like I said, you might get the chance to evaluate kids always out of position. That's just what I'm trying to get guys to understand. So I asked around and looked in the stands, and I saw his auntie there, and I said, where's your kid going? She said, that's just my nephew. She said, he don't have a scholarship. I'm like, I'm looking around like nobody here paying no attention to this kid. So I called down to Coach Kadar because, like I said, being a former player and assistant, I got a direct access to him. And I said, man, this kid, he better get on him right away. Ain't nobody on him. So everybody's like, if he that good, then why he ended up, the story gets greater. But he ended up down at Southern University after a couple of years of position change and all of the reps that's necessary to play baseball. I mean, he was lucky enough to play with Ryan Howard. He played with a lot of guys that played in the big leagues, Aaron Hill. So he dominated the USA team. So now the HBCU stigma was taken away because, like I said, he was evaluated nationally with the so-called better players in the country. So all of this stuff, and then he faced those guys in season and did more damage. So it's hard to deny his actual ability. But it wasn't that he just fell out of the sky. The ability was there, just a lot of people overlook. And that's why I told you the key to this stuff is the right set of eyes got to see you.
So you go to the event, you see Rickie Weeks, and you introduce him to the coach at Southern University. And then he becomes the number 2 pick in the draft, number 3 pick?
2.
Number 2 pick overall. Wow.
And wins the Golden Spikes Award as the nation's best player.
Wow. The best player in the nation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Jerry, name some of the players that you put your hands on that the people might know. I mean, that made it all the way up.
Baseball now, you got to remember, I signed a lot of major leaguers, but the most prominent one that you would probably know is Aroldis Chapman.
Oh.
And with him, it's like 5 people get credit for him because we all saw him together because he was a Cuban defect.
Right.
And watching this kid here, it was the most beautiful thing you ever want to see. When I saw him walk in the gym, he looked like a basketball player, not the big, strong monster you see now. I mean, he was lean. And I said, God, this guy here.
How tall is he? How tall is he?
6'6".
He was 6'4", 6'5" then, but he was about 180. Now he's, the guy you see on TV that could be a club bouncer. But when I saw the guy warm up, we indoors. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, he got a loose arm. You could see all of the easiness in there. First pitch, radar gun, 96. I'm like, and they said, oh, I thought he threw 100. I'm like, that's pretty good for me indoors with no warm-ups.
First pitch.
Then he threw a slider. It broke the catcher's shin guard. That's how sharp it was. It was at 91. I was like, oh, my God. American players aren't built like that. They're just not. He's the kind of guy, like I told you, when they go over there in Cuba, their best athletes play baseball. In America, our best athletes don't play baseball.
So 6'6", 180, that's a shooting guard here in the United States.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And we had one like that, and we just finally convinced him to play baseball. His name is Amir Garrett. He was playing with St. John's. We drafted him out of high school and told him, hey, man, go ahead and go to college. Get that out your system basketball, which probably hurted his development. He could have been in the big leagues 10 years instead of 6.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But, you let kids do their own route. But it's just that we don't play baseball, our best athletes. They're being convinced of other sports.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Since we're throwing out names, Jerry, the Reds drafted a kid in the first round out of UCLA last year.
Matt McClain.
What do Cincinnati Reds fans have to look forward to in Matt? What kind of ball player is he?
We're hoping we're getting another version of Alex Bregman.
Wow.
I mean, a college performer who can stay in the middle of the diamond. Worst case, you move him to the third or second, but still got a chance to stay in the middle of the diamond or even play center field. The guy's got way more baseball savvy and tools than Gibbon. He's a plus runner, got plus tools, been around the game, come from a high level program, and he's already off to a good start. So we hoping that because he's a college guy that he should move quickly.
Expect him to move fast. Okay.
Yes.
Good stuff.
That's really
let me squeeze one more in, Bo.
Go ahead.
Another thing, Jerry. When I watch the baseball game now, man, it's almost like I'm in math class. It's just so many different numbers and statistics and metrics and analytics. How has scouting changed since you started out with the analytics? Does that play a big role, or do you kind of go on feel on what you see in a player?
Well, remember this, and I know people gonna get mad, but it's just reality. Analytics been around baseball because baseball is numbers.
Okay,
that's just what baseball is.
Mm-hmm.
A coach would not play you because you don't get hits off this pitcher. That's analytics, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
But it's the same concept. Man, you struggle against lefties. I ain't gonna play you today. You play tomorrow. But we changed the wording to make it sound like you invented something new. The game is not changed. We just trying to change it to fit a guy getting a job in the game. The game is not changed. I mean, like when I go and watch a guy, and another good example, we're being brainwashed in baseball to the sense that we think batting practice determine how good a hitter you are. We've created a monster. The home run derby. You know what the home run derby is, right? It's the 3-point shooting contest, the dunk contest.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. It's just another form. But so when the kid and the parent tell me, he took a good BP, we call those guys 5 o'clock hitters.
Mm.
Then when the game come up and then you're facing a Rollis Chapman, because that's really who you got to hit. We don't care you hitting that first inning pitch because the game is really won in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. So a lot of times the word analytics is we're being taught that you're doing good by being mediocre. So as scouts, you still got to scout the tools. The tools do not change.
Okay.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And to win a baseball game, Dusty Baker said it best. I don't want to care about how many hard hit contacts I got. I need a blue pit to win the game for me. I'll take that. We so busy trying to put more emphasis on things that are
We didn't hear you.
Baseball game unless you get more runs scored than the other team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
This been a real good one, Jerry. Very informative, more informative than I thought it was going to be. But I wanted to shed some light on you and we did that, and let these younger guys know, what to expect, what they need to work on, and let them know it's a rough journey. It ain't easy, and I definitely
Well,
appreciate you coming on with us. What you say?
one thing that I would like to really emphasize in American baseball, you got to put in reps. You can't just play weekend showcase baseball. That's why you keep wondering about why the guy's signing in Dominican and getting these $2 million at 15. A 15-year-old might not even make a varsity team to a senior year in high school. I mean, it's just what it is because you don't put in the reps. Like growing up, I played strikeout. We played league ball. We didn't have no Tommy John. We didn't have no pitch counts. We didn't have nobody pinch running for us. Catchers ran for their own. So the game is becoming specialized soft. And so then you wonder why they take a kid that don't need all that extra help.
And
now,
it's powerful.
You know what? I'm sorry. I was going to end it, but now you done took me to another level because I play multiple sports. You play multiple sports. Now they got all these kids specializing. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing that they got them specializing? Or are you like me? I think that they should be able to play them all and rest one, do another to let one compensate, what different injuries from one sport get healed from another sport. What's your take on that?
I think it's imperative that you play multiple sports because it teaches you how to compete. It teaches you different muscle usage. If you play basketball, it's going to work on your lower half. If you play football, it's going to work on your upper strength and learn how to compete and learn how to deal with adversity. Baseball, if we're looking at you as a professional player, you most likely is the more talented guy. So you haven't have a lot of failure. So when you haven't had a lot of failure, you don't know how to adapt or adjust because the game is about adjustment. That's why I tell every kid I ever sign, you're going to go 0 for 20 or they're going to hit your ball real hard. Oh, not me. I'm like, okay, well, unless you know something I don't know. Everybody that play this game get a rude awakening when they play on that big boy TV screen.
Absolutely.
That's just what the game is because you got to make adjustment. We drafted you on your potential and upside. Those guys are already there on their potential and upside.
Absolutely.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Damn good stuff. It's been a good one, Jerry, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. Bill,
no problem.
We're gonna
Yeah,
end it
thank
on
you so
up.
much, man. This was an eye opener, man. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
Gotta have you back, Mr.
When the
Mr.
season
Flowers.
start after the draft, maybe. Maybe after the draft
or something. We'd love to have you back, man. Because we bring your man Scipio Spinks. He's a frequent visitor, man. And I wanted to slide him in today, but he wasn't available. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's another one of the guys that was a scout out there in the industry. It's like I said, baseball is so unique to the fact that you're gonna run across everybody because the circle is so big.
Right.
And like I fortunate enough to seen 90% of the guys that play in the big leagues today because they ain't been in there 25 years. So at least I've seen them at some point in their career. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of history of seeing guys come and make it. Some come quicker than others and some come later. But the key to it is, as an amateur player, don't give up. You just got to put in that work. You got to put the work in.
Great. Well, it's been a good show, man. Like I said, we appreciate you. And it's been a good one, man. And thanks for coming on the show. We're going to end this one with Brother Jerry Flowers. Bill, it's been a good one, and we'll be out next week, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Next Sunday at 3. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Thank you.
All right.
And thank you all for watching, man. Peace, y'all. Bill.